Is Strange Charm an easy piece to play? I would say no. It looks fairly straightforward, but it's actually a bit of a technical challenge. This is because we have these quavers in the right hand leaping a minor seventh, back again a minor seventh, to a fifth, to a sixth. So you've got a hand shape that's like this, out, in, out, and this constant opening the hand makes it a little less secure. You'll also tendency maybe to hit the wrong notes at the top. The best way is just to do it very slowly and get your hands used to the memory of that. As you speed it up, it becomes harder to keep the quavers even. So you don't want to go. You want to keep them. Now if you find yourself going, you'll know because you'll hear it and it'll sound a bit odd. You could change the rhythm just to get your fingers used to the note. So try a jazzy rhythm. Always press very firmly when you're learning something. You can then decrease the volume to suit the dynamics of the piece. I've marked this MP, so at some point I probably want to play it a bit quieter. Going back to that rhythm, so we had a jazzy rhythm, now try like a jazzy rhythm backwards, so instead of a long and a short, you get a short and a long. And then that gets very difficult at the end bit, but it gives you the idea. And then hopefully doing that a few times, you'll find that your hands are much more able to play even quavers. The F one is much easier than the E one. I think that angle probably is the reason, because you're going onto the black keys there. When we get to bar 17, we have almost the same music as we have at the beginning, with a slight difference, and this is also tricky. So we've got, instead of E, we've now got D, but it kind of feels very similar because the left hand is still playing E minor chords. I'll just show you the difference. So in bar 1, we have an E minor, but the right hand's on E. But in bar 17, the left hand still stays on E, but now the right hand, instead of playing on the tonic, which is the first note, it's on the 7th. It's kind of a different vibe and it's quite subtle. Nice little change there. This is developed in bar 25 and it starts to get a little bit tricky here. So again, it's on the black keys. That's quite tricky, and also the leap there is a major 7th, so we don't have that quite as much as the minor 7th. No, bar 29, easy. And we've got a slightly different tune here in bar 31. So what you need to do is make sure you tuck that thumb under, otherwise you're going to find yourself, you want to have it nice and smooth. That's quite a long phrase, listen to that one. So things that are slightly longer are slightly harder, if that makes sense. That might need a little bit of extra work. Bar 33, we've got this groovy rhythm. That in itself is quite a challenge. So I'm just going to slow that down. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and... You put the left hand in, that's when it gets tricky. It's not 33, it's how the two hands work in 34. Listen to this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and... I'll stop counting there. I'll just focus on that bar 34. So the left hand goes down on the first beat, the right hand comes in on the first beat on the and of 1, and then the second part of the bar is the and of 2 and 3 and left, right, together, right, right. Sometimes that helps. Left, right, together. So I'll just play 33 again. In bar 35, the left hand's a little bit more varied. Got that extra C, and then that's obviously carried on in the solo section. Coming out of the solo section, we've got that same rhythm that we had at 33. Slight difference, the left hand has a few extra notes and a slight change of harmony. So the left hand is on the first beat, that comes in on the and of 2, and then you've got this rhythm you had before, but instead of, it's now got a G at the top. That changes the harmony, the tonality a little bit. You've still got the same right hand. So together, right, together, right, left, right, together. That's sometimes a way of doing it. I shall try and count this and play at the same time. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. So you could isolate each of those bars, 41, do it over and over again. Have a rest, and then again. Same with the second part, the 42 bar. And if that's too much of a challenge, try going first half of 42. And then joining it all up. And that's obviously repeated. In the music it says repeat until you feel ready to move on, and most of the time I just do that, repeat it a couple of times, and then I move on to back to the beginning of the tune. Last challenge of the piece is this coda. So it starts off quite easy, same as 25, and then it does something that it doesn't do ever again in the piece and hasn't done it previously. So that's all new material, and that becomes quite difficult. So at bar 51, this tune that goes, I'm going to do it very slowly. Okay, first of all, it's a very, very long phrase. Secondly, rhythmically, it sounds like it's in a different time signature, and it's going over a large range. So there's lots of different things there. So this is a very tricky part. First of all, you've got an arpeggio on E minor, starting on G. So it's like a first inversion. Then coming down on an arpeggio on B major, and then a little tune, which is sort of around, well, it's to do with F sharp, but it feels like a C sharp tune. It's actually the 5th of F sharp, onto the 7th, onto the 9th. So that's quite a challenge. What you could do is practice your arpeggio just going up. And then the first note of the B major arpeggio coming down. And then try coming down on the B major arpeggio. And then join those two together. And then finish it off. The left hand, not too tricky. Together again. I'll try and do that a little bit better because my left hand placement wasn't quite right. Here we go. And again. So as you can tell, it's not the easiest thing, but it does sound quite good when you get it right. Also the rhythm, so we have this very much 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I'll just play a couple of bars before that. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So the rhythmic effect here is the downbeat is on 1, 2. And when we get to that point and come down, it feels like that's the beginning of the bar. So it almost feels like we've gone into 4/4. So instead of it being in 3, it sounds like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and then a bar of 2, 1, 2, 3. And we're just cutting across the bar. It's just a little effect, but it sounds quite good when you've been in one time signature to imply that you're in another one briefly, and that's quite exciting. So I'll just play a couple of bars before 51 from 49. And the final section is just the same tune repeated 3 times. So here it is. If you need a little gap to get to the next octave, that's absolutely fine, because it's very, very much kind of winding down. Try not to hit the wrong notes. So all I've done is play the same tune 3 times at the end.